All right, thanks so much. So we are 1 minute after the hour, so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. Thanks so much everyone for joining us for this midwinter town hall meeting. I think this is the first one we've ever done in this way, so let us know what you think afterwards if you want. We did turn everybody's mic on, so if you don't mind, keep your mic on mute. It'll help with some of the background. So if you've got your mic unmuted, go ahead and mute yourself. And we'll just go ahead and get started. So we thought what we would do is just introduce ourselves and then have a short agenda, and then we'll leave mostly open for conversation and discussion towards the end of the presentation. So my name is Natalie Haber, and I'm currently the chair of the distance learning section.
And I'm Amanda Ziegler, and I'm currently the vice chair of the section.
Yeah, and we put our email addresses up. Feel free to email us about anything you think of with, regarding DLS stuff, and we'll do our best to answer or find the answer for you. So the agenda today, we've got what we know of for our upcoming virtual events for the spring, a sneak peek at summer conference events, volunteer information. We're gonna, this is kind of our bigger announcement here, is that the DLS name is changing to the Distance and Online Learning section, and we'll discuss that a bit. And then we'll have lots of time for questions and comments. So our upcoming virtual events for February right now, we are going to be having an Ask the Room discussion group event, which if you haven't been to one of our Ask the Room events, they're really fun. We do them in Zoom with breakout rooms, so you can talk to kind of smaller groups. It's pretty casual conversation centered around a hot topic in distance and online learning librarianship, so watch for the emails and social media promotions for that event. We don't have an exact date or the topic yet, but we will. In March, our Research and Publications Committee will be doing another author forum over Twitter, which has been pretty popular. They work on highlighting the work of some of the authors chosen for our top 5 articles list, which comes out quarterly. And that has its own topic each time as well. And in April, so far, we've got scheduled a virtual poster session. So last year we had our first virtual poster session, and it was a very big success, and we're really happy with it. So the instruction committee, again, is going to be organizing that, and they're hoping to put the call for proposals out, I want to say in the next week or two. So there'll be a proposal, and then they have a great online website for the virtual poster sessions. We also will be having another Ask the Room event in April and more. I think there are going to be 1 or 2 other things this spring that haven't quite gotten fully planned yet, but they're in the works. So just, you know, keep an ear out for all the good stuff that the DLS is doing this spring. For our summer conference event, so at ALA Annual, which is in Chicago this year, we'll have our DLS Awards Luncheon. So our awards committee is in the process of picking the awards recipient, and the luncheon honors that person. We'll also be having a discussion forum at ALA called Online Learning and Non-Traditional Student Populations. So if you're at ALA, look for that event on the scheduler, and we'll you know, I think that'll be a really good, lively conversation. We have officially moved all of the DLS, like official business, virtual for ALA this year. So this will be the first year where our executive committee and all committees meetings don't happen at ALA. Instead, we'll be doing the week prior to ALA. So that's kind of a big change for us at the annual conference. And then just stay posted, because we likely will have a social or networking event or breakfast as we have in the past. We just don't have it set in stone yet. We will also have presence at the Distance Library Services Conference, which is happening at Penn State in July. So we do share initials right now anyway, the DLS, Distance Learning, our Distance Learning section, and then Distance Library Services Conference, but we are actually 2 totally different groups. So the DLS section isn't that involved in the conference, except that we will be having a social event, as we always have at that conference. So that should be really fun. We always get a really good amount of food, and I think it's probably buy your own drinks, but it's fun. And then there'll be hopefully a couple of focus groups going on. So if you're interested in giving us feedback on the DLS strategic plan or the DLS standards, which are coming up for revision right now, please join one of those focus groups that will be at that conference. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Amanda, for this one.
So we just wanted to highlight a couple of other ways to get involved. And one of those is the DLS Member of the Month feature. You can nominate yourself or others. We really want to highlight the diversity of our membership and all of the different people and positions that are involved in distance and online learning. So click the form, answer the questions, and take it as an opportunity to, expand your network and highlight all the cool things you are doing, or that some colleague is doing. If you want to nominate someone else, you're certainly welcome to do that as well. We also just wanted to encourage folks, you're fine, to follow the section and engage in conversation. And so there is a link there to where you can sign up for the listserv if you're not a member of the listserv. And also the Twitter handle. We also have a Facebook group that you can search for. It is a closed group, so you have to be approved for membership, but that is a great place to ask questions and get answers and engage in the ongoing conversation that we are having as a section about distance and online learning.
Mm-hmm.
The big way, though, that you can get involved in other ways, and I can see from our attendee list that some of you have already volunteered in the past to be part of a division level or section committee. And so obviously, if you're choosing to volunteer for a section committee, we would love for you to volunteer with our section. The forms have to be submitted by February 14th. So give that Valentine to the section by choosing to volunteer with us. You can go to the link that's right here on the slide, and you'll be able to volunteer with a number of different DLS committees. And there are so many benefits to volunteering with the section. It really is the absolute best way to be involved in the work of the section, to have your, sort of finger on the pulse of all of the different things that are going on within the section. And it's your section, as section members, we really want to be, having the section provide what you need, and one of the best ways to make sure that that's happening is to be involved as a volunteer on a committee.
Yep. And I will say, not to cut you off, Amanda, but I was doing all of the committee appointments last year, and Amanda's getting to gear up and do them this year. And for the most part, I was able to put any new volunteer who asked to be on a committee onto a committee, because we tend to have enough space. We're also going to be expanding one of our committees, and I'll let Amanda talk a little bit about which committees we've got. But for the most part, the DLS tends to be pretty easy to get started with, at least on one committee. So I know some of the other sections, it's kind of more difficult to get in sometimes. Amanda, should I advance a slide for you?
Yes, please.
All right. Oh, and if you needed more, right?
Yeah. So this is just a quote from one of our member volunteers, and it just really highlights, I think, DLS is one of the most friendly and welcoming library sections I've ever been a part of. People are very responsive and helpful when you reach out on the listserv, through Slack, or out to individual members. The section also puts out a number of free professional development opportunities, such as webinars, discussion groups, and poster sessions. It's also incredibly easy to get involved with the section. If you volunteer, you are very likely, like Natalie just said, to get put on a committee, and all the work is virtual. side note from Amanda, obviously this is even more true now that, the executive committee is no longer meeting in person at ALA annual. So literally any involvement that you have can be done virtually. It does not require conference attendance. If you spend time working with distance or online learners, you definitely should be a part of DLS. So please, if you are at all interested, definitely click that link, and I did put it in the chat as well to fill out the volunteer form. And just to give you an idea, Natalie, if you want to click ahead, we listed all the various DLS committees here, and you can choose to volunteer for specific committees. If you see something in this list that particularly piques your interest, you can also volunteer, just to be on any section level committee. But the awards committee, communications committee, conference program planning committee, discussion group, instruction committee, membership and events committee, mentoring and networking committee, nominating committee, research and publications, standards committee, strategic planning committee, web committee, and the expansion that Natalie was talking about is we'll have a new position this year, which is actually going to serve on 2 committees, on our web committee and our communications committee, and that will be our social media coordinator. That person will have a 1-year appointment to handle the section social media, and also to help work on the communications plan for the section. And so if you are at all interested in social media, if you have experience, or you're wanting to build on the experience that you have, this is a really great opportunity to be involved with the section, and also, kind of build your social media credentials if that's something that you're looking to do. All of the committees have I think the names are pretty self-explanatory, so I'm not going to dive into what each committee does, but just know that there are spots available on all of those committees. So, don't be afraid to say what you want to do, but also if you're just looking to get involved and you're happy to take whatever, sort of serve the needs of the section, we're happy to help you find your place within the section as well.
Yep. And so we'll be putting together like an official call for that social media coordinator position. So watch out for the listserv. It'll be coming around soon, but if you want more information, you can just email Amanda. Maybe Amanda, you could put your email in the chat too. You can email Amanda directly, there it is, and you can just get in touch with her if you're interested in serving as our social media coordinator. It's kind of like more of a specialized position, but we really think it'll help a lot of between the communication and web committees, both of those, to function a little bit better and more in sync with one another. So, all right. So yeah, the big news would be that the distance learning section, the DLS name, is changing. So a little bit of background about that. Conversation started about 2014, 2015, during that cycle, about changing the name to include this idea that not all of us specifically work with distance learners. Quite a lot of jobs have to do with just online learning librarianship or online services, which is my title here at UTC. So we have discussed it quite a lot. 2 years ago, it's almost 3 years ago now, we held focus groups and we did a big membership survey about the addition of the word online in the strategic plan and vision statement for the section. And all the feedback was fairly positive. We had focus groups at the last distance learning conference. And there was a couple of members who pushed back a bit, but in further conversation, we found some consensus, and we brought it for an official vote to the executive committee this fall to discuss adding it, and it voted ahead. So it went to the ACRL board meeting in November, and it was approved there as well. So, and this is like the big flashy part of the presentation here. Watch that. Oh yeah, I feel like this transition needs like an applause or something. But anyway, distance and online learning section. So we will be the DOLS. That change won't be official until oh, thanks everyone in the chat. Applause, yay. Yeah, it's coming summer 2020 is when they'll start switching everything over. And I was told by the ACRL folks that they should get everything switched by September 2020. So that's all of our web presence, all the stuff in terms of like as members select to become members of the DOLS, it'll start looking like that in the form by early fall next year. So that's pretty much our big news. We're really excited to move forward with that. We've got, several things that we need to kind of handle as a section. Right now we have like all of our marketing and we need to update our logo and things like that. So we'll be working towards updating all of our materials. The standards, as I had mentioned before, they're coming up for review as well. And so this idea of changing the standards, not only to include, distance and online learning section in the parts that are appropriate, but does anything else need to change with the DLS standards, right? So please join that conversation. As you see, we should have surveys and focus groups coming throughout the spring and summer as we get closer to updating those as well. So I guess what I'm going to do is turn it over to the group. Does anybody have any questions or discussion or comments about anything we talked about today? Now don't jump in all at once, guys.
I have a quick question. This is Chelsea. About going back to the comment you made about Facebook and the listserv and ways to keep in touch with each other. I'm a member of the Distance Librarians Slack group, and yes. I realized that I'm not fully clear if that's part of DLS/future DOLS, or is that kind of its own rogue thing?
Yeah, great question, Chelsea. That is totally rogue, but at the same time, many of the members are members of DLS as well, so there's a lot of overlap. But Sean Hogan, I think he's the one who started that Slack line, and he's the one who is like in charge of, oh, Danielle, we'll come back to that and chat. But yeah, I think Sean Hogan's in charge of accepting new people into that Slack group, as far as I know.
Yes, he's the administrator of it.
Yeah, and he used to be on our executive committee a couple years ago. He was like chairing discussion group. So it's all very closely linked, but it's not an actual official DLS channel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thanks so much for clarifying.
Mm-hmm. And then Danielle Skaggs is saying that they're not seeing a DLS option on the volunteer form right now. So Danielle, thank you so much. I'm gonna have to come back to that. I'm making myself a note. I'll email you later today with what I find out.
And
yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Okay, Danielle's saying that they don't see any section level options at all.
Huh, isn't that odd?
Yeah, that is odd. It should be up and live, so we'll definitely see.
No, it doesn't close until mid-February, as far as I know, Andrea.
Yep, February 14th.
Yeah. And Janice, you were asking what is Slack? Slack is just another, I don't know, who does Slack? I'm in it, but it's like a way of communicating.
It's a messaging platform, like I would say.
Sort of like message board / chat / it's actually an acronym, searchable log of all conversations and knowledge.
Yes. Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't know it until a little while ago either.
And then what is the Slack handle for distance? It's Distance Librarians, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's distancelibrarians.slack.com.
Yeah. Here, I'll put that in the, oops. Oh boy.
I think some people's chat is being sent only to panelists by default. If you do, I mean, maybe some people want that, but you can change it to say all panelists and attendees down at the bottom. So if you want to send a chat that everyone can see.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. That's a good one. I think the Slack channel is cool because they have it separated into different chunks. Like there's conference line and projects and UX and several others. So. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about any of the events coming up, or any thoughts on the shift at ALA? I will say that in years past, we had an official program at ALA, but this time around, we submitted 2 different proposals and neither were accepted, and that's why we're doing a discussion forum. So it's going to be a little bit of a different thing than what we normally see at our ALA annual conference. But it should still be really good.
I think it'll be exciting.
Yeah, yeah. We used to always have discussion forums at ALA, and then we had dwindling attendance over the last few years. Oh, hi, Cynthia. Yeah, Cynthia is our board liaison, so I'm glad you're here. Hey, Cynthia, is that ACRL volunteer form anything inside of your area that you could look into for us? It looks like people are having trouble not seeing section level volunteers. Thanks, Katie. Thank you. All right.
And speaking of bigger ACRL events, as long as we have folks who are interested in distance and online librarianship, I did also want to make a plug for people to submit for programs and posters and other presenting for ACRL for next year. Those deadlines are coming up this spring, and I would love to see more distance-specific programs and offerings at ACRL. And one of the best ways for us to do that is for us as members to be submitting and presenting.
Yeah, that would be great. This will be my first year going to ACRL, or ACRL 2021. So I would love that. Yeah, ACRL in Seattle, that's going to be great. And Cynthia, yeah, that does seem like that's the issue, that you're not able to drop down the way that you normally ought to with the sections. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to keep everybody, and it's always nice when you've got an hour meeting scheduled and then it goes a lot less than an hour, but I also want to give people a chance if anybody has any other comments. I get it that hopefully that no one's too angry about the name change, since there's not a whole lot of, we're excited about it. So
I think it's a great improvement. I mean, not improvement, but just a good change. I'm really excited that you all made that happen. I will just jump in real quick and share that we just got word about a date and time for the next Ask the Room event. Just kind of
awesome.
There will be more formal communication coming over the listserv and in ALA Connect. But if anyone wants to mark their calendars, we're looking at Tuesday, February 25th.
Perfect.
11 a.m. Central Time, which means noon East Coast.
Awesome.
Yay.
Do you guys have a topic for that one, Chelsea?
We're going to be submitting a form for people to submit their questions. Great. And then we will work with that and get something chosen.
Great. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Well, feel free to hit the listserv with any other kind of broader questions. And if there's anything very specific, feel free to email Amanda or myself, and we'll get back in touch with you right away. And hopefully we'll, if you haven't already filled out your form, just check back in with it tomorrow maybe. And if you're still struggling, you absolutely can email me, and I'll try to figure out what's going on. So, okay, if that's all. Yeah. What do you think, Amanda? You got anything else?
I think that sounds great.
Okay. All right. Successful first town hall meeting. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, see ya. Oh, good. And Sarah says the volunteer form works. So
Okay.
good to hear. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.